Hello guys and gals, and welcome to the first ever and probably the only episode of Diablo II Leveling Guide. I hope to go over every single aspect of Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 leveling in this guide. And the reason why I decided to make this guide, of course, is because Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming out. And since Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 Resurrected are nearly identical as far as the skeleton hiding underneath, I thought it would be a really good idea to go over experience leveling your characters. Where to level, what level to be in the particular areas that you should be in, and so forth and so on. So whether you're a grizzled veteran who's just looking for a refresher, or you're a person who's brand new into the series and you just want to learn everything you possibly can before Diablo 2 Resurrected comes out, sit back and enjoy, because I'm going to go over every aspect of Diablo 2 leveling that I can. And what we are going to start with first is the Diablo 2 Exp Penalties. All right, so Diablo 2 has a rather large amount of penalties for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're a level 1 character and you manage to get yourself into Act 3, normal. You're not going to get EXP there. So let's pretend, for instance, that you killed a monster that, gives you 100 EXP, right? So you're like, oh yeah, 100 EXP, that's going to get me pretty far. Look at my bar, I only need like 400 to get to the next level. All right. So you're like, okay, well, I can kill like 4 of these guys. They give 100 EXP apiece. That's crazy. And then you kill one and you only get 5. And you're like, okay, well, why did that happen? Well, the reason why that happens is that you are in the wrong place at the wrong time. So at level 1, they expect you to be in Act 1. They don't expect you to be anywhere else. And if you are anywhere else, you are going to get a penalty of almost 95% taken away from any EXP that you would gain. This makes, picking up groups important, because when you are picking your group, you want to pick a group that is close to your level. You don't want a group that is too far away from your particular level. And it varies how much that percentage is, because in the beginning there's a lot of EXP penalties. So let me just say right off the bat that when you are a low level character, between the levels of 1 to 24, they penalize you really heavily for being in the wrong places. And I'm going to show you what is it's not really 100% accurate, so let me say this in advance before I pop it up on the screen. This is sort of a roundabout, simplification of the penalties, to kind of give you an idea of where you should be at the right levels. Okay, so let me pop this up on the screen here, and got it in a nice Diablo font for all you guys and gals out there who love Diablo fonts. I love Diablo fonts. It's called Exoset. If you're interested in ever finding it, you can download Exoset. You can install it on your Windows computer, and you can type up school reports in Exoset and give them to your teacher, and your teacher will look at you crazy because the 5s and the 6s look identical. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So as you can see here, we have a chart. And on this chart is essentially a range of levels for each act and each difficulty setting. And if you look here, you'll notice that for some reason, Act 5 is missing. It's not a mistake. Act 5 Nightmare actually has no 100% for any level. So for some reason or another, if you look at this chart, everything that's on this chart, if you're in this area at this particular time, you're getting 100% of the EXP that you should be getting. However, for some reason or another, if you are in Act 5 Nightmare, you are always getting less than 100%, which is really interesting. I don't know why exactly Act 5 Nightmare in particular is the one that got left off the boat, so to speak, but it did. So let's take a quick glance at this, and I'm going to go over it one by one. So as you can see here, we have level 1 to 11 is Act 1. We've got level 12 to 18 is Act 2, level 19 to 23 is Act 3, and level 24 to 31 is Act 4, and then level 32 to 36 is Act 5. So we got an interesting range of levels there, and that is where you're going to get 100% of the EXP in normal. So now we're moving on to Nightmare. And in Nightmare, it's level 37 to 43 for Act 1, level 44 to 48 for Act 2, 49 to 52 for Act 3, 53 to 62 for Act 4. And we skip over Act 5 because Act 5 does not have any optimal leveling EXP areas. Level 63 to 73 in Act 1 Hell, level 74 to 80 in Act 2 Hell, level 81 to 83 in Act 3 Hell, level 83 to 94 in Act 4 Hell, and then finally level 95 to 99 in Act 5 Hell. So, if you were a level 95 character, the only place that you would get 100% EXP is Act 5 Hell. If you go to any other area, you're going to get penalties. And let's use level 99 as our example, because I'd like to give you at least one example. For instance, level 99 characters only get 7% of any EXP. Level 98 characters only get 7% of any EXP that they get. All right, so if you kill a monster that gives you 100 EXP, you're already only getting 7. Right? Because as a level 98 character, they want you to take a long time to get to the next level. And it's always been that way, okay? They want you to have to take a long time to get, from 97 to 98 and 98 to 99. So they have already penalized you 93% for being level 98. However, when you are level 98, if you are not in Act 5 Hell, you get 95% of your EXP taken away. So you lose an additional, 5, 6, 7, right? So additional 2% for not being in Act 5 Hell. And it can be a lot of EXP, all right? It's not like a tiny bit. And there are also level penalties, all right? So this is, the 7% is literally just what we're getting for being a level 98 character in Act 5 Hell, right? However, we also have modifiers that are attached to our levels, and those modifiers are things like, for instance, when you're level 98, you have a 0.059 modifier on the amount of EXP that you have coming in. So they are taking away practically all the EXP that you get at level 98 because they want you to take a very, very, very long time to get to level 99. And you might be asking yourself, well, when do these penalties, these level penalties start, right? So the level penalties actually begin at level 70. So when you get to level 70, you cease to get 100% of the EXP that you get from killing monsters, and you go to 95.3%. All right. So you have, you will never get 100% of the EXP from a monster once you hit level 70. And they decrease the amount of EXP that you get every single level. So for instance, at level 71, you are at 90.6%. And let's swoop down here. So we have level 80. At level 80, you were at 48.4%. So you are lower than 50% of the EXP that you're ever going to get. So even if you're in the correct area, even if you're killing the correct monster and you're getting 100% of the EXP that you deserve, you're still getting 48.4% of that EXP is already being taken away, right? So, for instance, if you were a level 80 character and you were in the correct act, so if we look at our chart here, the correct act for a level 80 character is Act 2 Hell. We're going to get 99% of the EXP, so that is the most optimal EXP that we can get at level 80. And that 99% EXP is going to get tanked by the 48.4% penalty. All right, so if we whip out a calculator here, let's pretend that we just killed a monster and the monster gave us 1,000 EXP, right? All right, so we already have a 99% penalty, so that's 1%, so we minus 1% of 1,000, which brings us down to 990. And then we have to subtract that that 48.4%, right? So minus 48.4%. So we are only getting 510 EXP from that monster. It would have given us 1,000. And that is because of the fact that we are getting penalized, right, for our level. However, if you were in the wrong area, so let's calculate it if you were in the wrong area. So if I'm a level 80 character and I am EXPing where I'm not supposed to be, so I'm EXPing in Act 1 Hell, all right? So if a level 80 character is in Act 1 Hell, she's going to get penalized, or he's going to get penalized, 24%, right? Okay, so let's do the calculation again. So 1,000 EXP from a monster, all right? So we have to subtract a huge portion of this 1,000 before we even apply the penalty, all right? So we have, what is that, 24? So the opposite of 24 is 76, I believe. Yeah, 76. So 80, 90, yeah, 100. So 76. So minus 76% of our EXP. So we are down to 240. All right, and then we have to subtract our 48.4% from the penalty here. So we're going to be getting 123.84 from that monster that gave us 1,000. So as you can see here, being in the wrong place can have a huge and dramatic effect on the amount of EXP that you get. All right, now that we've covered experience points penalties, the next thing that we're going to be covering is where you should level. Now, where you should level is going to vary based on your class. So if you're, for instance, a cold sorceress, you probably wouldn't want to go to places where there are lots of monsters that are cold immune. Or if you are a fire sorceress, you wouldn't want to go to a lot of places where there's fire immunes, etc., etc. So where you choose to level is going to be up to you. But I'm going to give you a rough guide on where you should be. And this is my next graphic. So here we have a graphic which kind of tells you where you should be at any given moment leveling up your characters. Let me move over here so the fire is not interfering with the writing. All right, so I'm going to read this off, and I'm kind of going to go over why you should go to these places, and we'll actually go over there. We'll take a look at them. So level 1 to 15, you want to repeatedly clear Tristram. All right, so where is Tristram? Let's go ahead and go over to Tristram real quick. So to get to Tristram, you have to go to the Stonyfield waypoint and find the Cairn Stones. Once you find the Cairn Stones, it will give you a quest that tells you to go and get the Scroll of Infus from Treehead Woodfist and in the Dark Woods. You're going to get that scroll. You're going to bring it back to Akara. Akara is going to translate it. You're going to click on these Cairn Stones until it makes the appropriate portal here in the center. And when you get into Tristram, you're going to come in here and you're going to find a whole lot of monsters in here to kill. Now, Tristram is a very good place to farm for EXP from 1 all the way until level 14, I believe it was. 15. So you might notice that there's a disparity between the two lists. So if we take a look at the other list, it says that Act 1 is only good up until level 11. But when we take a look at list number 2, we see that Act 1 is good up until level 15. So why is that? Well, at level 11, you're still getting 100% of the EXP that you should be getting in Act 1. But when you hit level 12, you start to get a penalty toward the EXP that you would get in that area. And it increases, the penalty increases as you get to level 15. And once you are at level 15, the penalty becomes too severe for you to focus on the Tristram area. And you have to move on to Talrash's Tomb. So if we take a look again at our list, you'll see that Talrash's Tomb is Act 2, and Act 2 is 12 to 18. So why does our other list say that we can stay in Talrash's Tomb till level 24? Well, the reason for that is that Talrash's Tomb is a good place to level. And despite the penalty that you are receiving in Talrash's Tomb, you actually get fairly good EXP there because of how quickly you can kill the monsters and just the general level range of the other players that are with you. So, you know, if you're in a group and everybody seems to be different levels, you know, you're going to have some interesting time leveling up your characters. All right, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you where the Talrash's tombs are. So this is one of them. There's actually quite a few. They're all along the walls here. So see, we have Talrash's tomb, and then we run down here, and there's another Talrash's tomb. And there's basically Talrash's tombs all along the wall, because one of them is the real one, and the rest of them are fake. All right. So when you are a character who is, you know, the level that is required here, so level 16 to 24, you're going to come in here with a group of people. You're going to kill monsters. You're going to do your best to murder everything in sight and rinse repeat. Thankfully, because the Talrasha tombs are so many, you clear one, you head back to the waypoint, and then you go to the next Talrasha tomb, and you clear that one, and so forth and so on, until you get to around level 24, and that's when the experience points start to wane off for you, and you want to move on. Now, level 24 is also a special time, because at level 24, you get to do a special quest. And we're going to talk about that special quest really quick. So, in Act 5, there is a special quest called the Ancients. When you take a look at the tree here, it's right here. It's called the Rite of Passage. All right. And what you have to do is you have to go to the Ancients' Way, and you have to find the Ariat Summit. And on the Ariat Summit, there are 3 barbarians who are waiting there for you. And those 3 barbarians are a challenge. You cannot portal in and out. It is a very restricted challenge. So if you do cast a portal while you are on the Ariat Summit, the barbarians will go back to their statues, and you will essentially fail the quest. Now, you can try it again. You can try it as many times as you want to, but you cannot leave, because as soon as you leave, you have essentially it restart the quest from the start again. So it's a very interesting thing there, because there is nothing else like that in Diablo 2. Most of the monsters, when you fight them, they don't really have any conditions. If you were to fight a monster, you could teleport back, buy more potions. You could, you could change out your gear. You could come back. You could try again, maybe with a different skill set, maybe, a different strategy. Get a different mercenary. Maybe you want a mercenary that gives a defiance instead of blessed aim, or maybe you're having trouble hitting, and you need the blessed aim, merc. But with the ancients, you can't do that. You can't go back into town. You can't change out your gear. You can't. You pretty much you have to beat them in one shot with whatever you brought with you, and that's it. Nothing else. So if you need to fill up your inventory with potions, then fill up your inventory with potions. Now, the reason why you do the Ancient's Way at level 24, or the Rite of Passage at level 24, is because at level 24, you get the most EXP for the Rite of Passage possible. So at level 24, you get 1,400,000 EXP for completing the Rite of Passage. In Nightmare difficulty, when you complete the Rite of Passage, you have to be level 40, and you get 20 million EXP. And I forgot to say, you also have to be level 20 in normal. In Hell, you have to be level 60, and you get 40 million EXP. All right. So when you go up to the Ancients at level 24, it's actually just the right level for you to go there and complete the quest, so that you are getting a full level up. Basically, if you complete the Ancients at level 24, you're going to be level 25. Simple as that. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're going to slap 1,400,000 EXP into your pool, and you're going to be level 25. When you are level 40 and you do the Nightmare one, I believe it ticks you over to level 41. And same thing when you are level 60 and you do the Hell Rite of Passage, it will tick you over to level 61. Which is why, when you look at this graphic, it tells you... Oop, wrong graphic. It tells you level 40 to complete Rite of Passage, level 41. No, level 60, complete Rite of Passage, and then it says level 61. So as soon as you complete the Rite of Passage at level 24, you're going to be level 25. And as soon as you complete the Rite of Passage at level 40, you're going to be 41, and so forth and so on. Now, if we look at our list, we see here that the next thing it wants us to do is kill Baal. So repeatedly clear the Chaos Sanctuary and kill Baal. All right, so what do we look at the other list, though? Let's take a look. So it says 25 to 40 for Baal. And according to the other list, we have 32 to 36, which is Act 5. So why is our indicator, our leveling guide here telling us to go, essentially, to the place that is not giving us 100% EXP? And the reason for that is because Baal gives a lot of EXP. I don't know exactly why Baal gives so much EXP, but even despite penalties, Baal can often be the best location to farm for EXP, bar none. And it's mainly, I think, because of all the minions that he has. So, he starts out and he summons his first set of minions. He summons a second set of minions. He summons a third set of minions. He summons a fourth set of minions. He starts out with the little guys, the little fallenkins. Then he goes to the Unravelers, and then he goes to the Act 3, like Mayfer, Dragon Hand looking monsters. And then he goes to the Act 4 monsters, and then he finally finishes it off with his own favorite monsters, the Act 5 monsters, right? So you have 5 sets of unique monsters that you have to go through to get to Baal. And all that EXP from killing all those monsters is actually quite a lot, especially because this area is a very high-level area. So sometimes, even despite the penalties, this is the best place to get EXP at. Right? And you'll notice that if we take a look at the list again, it's pretty much just a rinse and repeat. Right? So once you actually finish getting to that respective area where you are farming Baal, you move on to the next zone. And what does it tell you to do? It tells you to go and kill the Rite of Passage again. And then it tells you to farm Chaos and Baal again. And then it tells you to go back and do the Rite of Passage again. And then it tells you to repeatedly kill Baal. Right? So over and over again, it is telling you to do essentially the same things repeatedly. And why is it telling you to do the same things repeatedly? Because those are pretty much the best ways to level up your character, bar none. So this wouldn't be a leveling guide unless we at least went and saw Baal. So let's go ahead and take a look at Baal. Now keep in mind that as I'm presenting this to you, you can level up your character any way you want to. What I'm trying to do is give you the knowledge to know that, well, this particular area might not be the best area for me to level up in. And if you realize, you're like, hey, I'm not really getting a lot of EXP here. Why aren't I getting a lot of EXP here? You're going to be saying to yourself, okay, well, Daniel on Ginger Gaming Mentors, YouTube page said, that I receive a penalty if I'm in the wrong area at the wrong level. All right. So you could go and you could look up the website and you could actually see what those penalties are if you're interested, or you can just kind of go to the areas where you're supposed to be. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly where you are supposed to be, and that's why this guide exists in the first place. So here we are, we're at the Throne of Destruction, and we've got a whole bunch of monsters in our way. Of course, I forgot to summon my Valkyrie. Alright, let's go ahead and put our decoy back up. So, since killing Baal is one of the largest items on that list, and what I mean by largest is that it's definitely the one that has the most presence, you know what I mean? They're pretty much telling you over and over again, this is who you're supposed to kill, this is who you're supposed to farm, and why. Now, if you don't want to do Baal runs, you don't have to do Baal runs. There are other ways to get EXP. And if you were to follow the other list, so not this list, but if you were to follow this one is going to better show you, where the best places are for you to level up, and then you can sort of figure out where you need to be from that list. So instead of, going with the flow, so to speak, and leveling up with everyone else, you can just go to the right areas and kill monsters. It's really not that big of a deal. So here we have Baal, and Baal is going to summon monsters to us. All right, so every single time he throws his little hand up in the air there, we get a new set of monsters to kill. This first one is Kalenzo the Annihilator. And in normal difficulty, these monsters aren't so hard, but when you get to hell difficulty, they start to get immunities, and they start to become harder and harder to kill. And you may need other teammates there with different forms of attacks so that it's a little bit easier, you know, to kill them. So as you defeat each wave, he summons more waves to kill you. He laughs the entire time, of course. So the next wave is the Unravelers. And as I was talking about earlier, there's certainly a theme here. So we have basically, you know, Act 1 monsters, then Act 2 monsters, and then of course the next ones are going to be monsters from Act 3. Pick up some of these potions. Now, my character is level 41, so according to our little chart here, are we in the correct place? Let's take a look. So the chart says that at level 41, I should be an Act 1 Nightmare. So this is not the correct place for me. Go grab some more potions.
Hello.
The poison from those guys is wicked. Wicked. And let's take that off the screen for a second here. Need a distraction. I need my Valkyrie. Splitting up damage in combat is always helpful. Bartok the Bloody. Or Bartuk the Bloody. Come back here, sir. I know you got freaking lightning enchantment. I don't care. Alright, so now we have... we got some plate mail. What that is. Might be good for our mercenary. Plate mail. It's red. What do you got on, Merc? Oh, and now we've got our Act 4 monsters. So these are the Venom Lords. These in particular, you're going to need a good amount of fire resistance for. So definitely be aware of that. Alright, and the next set of monsters is probably the toughest for some characters, particularly because they have a spamming stun. So it's very difficult to explain. You kind of have to experience the ridiculousness of their spamming stun. They pretty much just will spam their attack on you over and over again, locking you into position. For Amazons, it's particularly nasty because Amazons are subject to a bug, which is an evasion bug, which keeps them from being able to attack while they're evading. So what I have to do here is I just have to get these guys dead. And of course, accidentally clicked off the screen. Now, once you kill the Minions of Destruction and Lister the Tormentor, who's their boss, you will move on to killing Baal himself. And we'll go over that next. As you can see, they have quite a bit of HP. I'm not as slouch in damage on this character. I'm not bad. For normal, anyway. One of the main problems, like I said, with Amazon is that a lot of their attacks end up getting canceled because of evasion. And that's why you probably want to build a shield on your Amazon, because shield is before evasion. So you will only evade when your shield misses. Alright, and then we have no one left but Lister the Tormentor here. And my Valkyrie has done exceedingly well, because as a tankazon, my Valkyrie has all the same abilities that I do. Alright, so now that you've killed Lister the Tormentor, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the chamber here, and you're going to finish off Baal. Baal is a tricky bastard, and he loves to make clones of himself. He knocks you back with cold attacks. He will steal all your mana, and he has some pretty vicious melee attacks as well. He also will put a curse on you, which causes you to use your health instead of mana. So if you are a mana spamming character, particularly pay attention to the curse, because you may be draining away your health and killing yourself. You can augment that by, of course, using some healing potions, or if you're a melee character or a ranged character, you're going to want to spam your lifesteal weapon, etc. And it'll help out because it'll restore your health as you burn your health for mana. Alright, so once you finally are able to kill Baal, you pretty much just rinse and repeat. So as you can see here, we've almost got him down. And he's made a clone of himself over there, but I'm not falling for it. I know which one's the real Baal. There we go, and the fake Baal disappeared. So once you kill Baal, it's pretty much just a rinse and repeat from that point. So you exit the game. You're gonna recreate your next game, and then you're gonna do the same thing all over again. And this is the same for all the difficulty settings. So when you get to Nightmare, and let's bring up the list one more time. So we have our list of where to go. So when you are level 25, you are going to cast Sanctuary and Baal until you hit level 40. And as you can see, you pick it back up again in Nightmare with level 41 to 60, and then you pick it back up again in Hell with level 61 to 95. So you're pretty much just leveling up your characters in Baal, because that's pretty much the best place to get your EXP. And it's a pretty strict cutoff here, so once you get to level 40 in normal difficulty, you're really not going to get very much EXP from him anymore. And when you get to level 60 in a Nightmare difficulty, you're really not going to get much EXP from him anymore either. And as you go forward in Hell difficulty, when you get to level 95, that's when things really start to drop off. And that's why they say advanced high leveling techniques, and they really mean it, because when you get to level 96 to level 99, it takes a very, very long time to level up your character, and you're going to need experience bonuses. You're going to need level 8 players. You're going to need all sorts of interesting things like that. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the players. All right, so we are going to talk about how players affect the EXP that you get in the game. All right, so this is the graphic, and this is how we look at the EXP for how much we get when multiple players are in the game. So for instance, if in single player you have the option to change the number of players. So if I want to type in /players 8, it says players set to 8. So now I have set my EXP to 450% of normal, which means I'm going to get 450% EXP. It's great, right? It is. It's actually pretty nice. There are also other effects, though, for changing the number of players. And it's important to know that when you change the number of players, you are also increasing the difficulty of the monsters. They will be doing more damage. They will have higher attack rating, which means they will be able to cut through your armor easier. And they will also drop items more frequently. Now, the item drop frequency doesn't happen every pip. All right, so the item drop frequency is actually /players 8 or /players 1 slash players 3, 5, and 7. That is when the increase in items occur. All right. So if you want to get better, more items, you're going to want to do slash players 3, or you're going to want to do slash players 5, or you're going to want to do slash players 7. Now, slash players 8 will not give you more items, but it will give you more EXP. So you could also do slash players 8. Now, respectively, the monsters will also gain more hit points. So they become much harder to kill. Let's go over that as well. So let me take this graphic off the screen, and we're going to talk about how much hit points they gain in different player difficulties. All right. So in players 1, of course, they are just simply 100% hit points. In players 2, it's 150%. In players 3, it's 200%. In players 4, it's 250%. As you can see, it increases 50% each time you increase the number of players until you get to players 8, which is 450%. So very similar to the amount of EXP that you gain. So we are getting an equivalent increase, essentially, in difficulty along with the experience that we're getting for killing the monsters. Now, if you do actually have 8 people in your game, you're going to be able to kill things hopefully 8 times faster because you have 8 people who are all dealing damage. Now, that doesn't, of course, account for leeches. All right, so the last thing that we're going to be talking about today is experience penalty for dying. So a lot of people don't know this, but Diablo actually has a penalty for dying in Nightmare and Hell difficulty. There is no penalty for dying in normal difficulty, only Nightmare and Hell. And when you die, you lose 5% of the EXP needed to reach the next level for Nightmare, and you lose 10% of the amount of EXP needed for the next level in Hell. You cannot down level. So if you were level 99 and you died 100 times in Hell, you wouldn't go down to level 98. That's not how it works. It will not level you down, but it will reduce the amount of EXP that you have in your pool. For example, if a character needed to gain 100,000 experience to move from one level to the next and died on Hell difficulty, the experience loss would be 10% of 100,000 or 10,000 EXP. If that character restarts in town and manages to return to his or her corpse and fully loot it, the experience loss is reduced by 75%. This would cut the 10,000 loss from the example given to just 2,500 EXP. If the character leaves the game and does not recover their corpse until the next game, the full experience penalty remains in effect permanently. Experience is lost for each and every death, so it is not a wise strategy in terms of experience loss to die multiple times trying to recover your first corpse. Dueling. Experience loss also counts for PvP deaths, so it is not a good idea to duel in Nightmare or Hell difficulty. If you are going to die on higher difficulty levels, it is wise to do so immediately after you level up. Since the experience loss will never drop you down a level, your experience won't drop any lower than the minimum for that given level. So very interesting there. A good thing that they kind of pointed out there is, hey, if you just died, you lost 10,000 EXP, and you can't get your corpse back, don't die a bunch of times getting your corpse back. All right? Because if you die a bunch of times getting your corpse back, you lose it another 10,000, another 10,000, another 10,000, another 10,000. Now, obviously, if you can get your corpses back, all of them, you can recover 75% of those, but you still will lose 25% of all that EXP from each and every single corpse. So, not so great. Anyway, I hope that I've gone over everything enough to give you an idea of, where you should be at particular levels. What act you should be in, what difficulty you should be in, where you should be farming for experience points, and so forth and so on. And if you follow my guide, I think you will notice that you will get to, the higher levels fairly quickly. And if you're not interested in getting to the higher levels fairly quickly, just take your time. Just take your time and level up as you see fit. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching and keep watching.
Look at the little booties, aren't you? Look at the cute little booties.